Hey, what's up? It's Bond, and today I'm going to talk about Mass Effect and basically just a little update on the hiring and some stuff I've been doing with that. If you like Mass Effect, if you like this video, if you like the other things on my channel, please subscribe to the channel. Leave comments down in the videos, they help it get noticed. Hit that like button, it helps a ton. And if you want to support the videos I make, the podcast I make, and the streams I do, consider becoming a member here on YouTube. I try to get exclusive early videos out to you all with no ads and so on. So let's jump into it. So what we see here is that there is a new position posted here on the BioWare careers page. What this is, it's a senior animator job. This just got posted in the last day or two. There is this other senior experience designer. It's listed as a temporary role. They've had a handful of these lately, and they're almost certainly for Dragon Age Dreadwolf. We're expecting a big announcement about that game in June, with I assume a release date later in 2024. And my guess is that they're just pulling in people kind of last minute here to do some things and finish some things up. What I want to talk about is this senior animator position. So here we have the actual page for that listing, and we see a few things that are, I don't know, a little bit interesting, I guess. So we have the senior animator at BioWare. The multiple locations has Edmonton, Vancouver, and Austin all listed, which are the three known studio locations. It also notes that this is a remote position. So my impression is that they're still doing a lot of remote work, but that the people are like occasionally going into whatever the closest office is to do various work and meetings and things like that. But it seems like EA in general and BioWare specifically has been fairly willing to allow people to continue working from home and doing that thing. Reading through here, unfortunately, it doesn't give us a ton of info about what this may be for specifically. The main descriptor down here at the bottom is, we are looking for an experienced senior animator with a focus on cinematic animation and pre-visualization of gameplay systems for third-person action 3C development. That 3C is character, camera, and controls. You will collaborate with core gameplay and narrative leadership groups to create animations to help establish systems which blur the lines between traditional gameplay and narrative experiences. The senior animator will report to the animation director, and sometimes in this part of the descriptions it will specifically say this position will be working on this game. This doesn't. With our current situation, knowing that Mass Effect is pretty much confirmed, or is confirmed, to be on Unreal Engine 5. We know that Dreadwolf is still on Snowdrop or Frostbite. I can mix those up all the time. Neither of those are listed here. Sometimes you can suss out what game it's for by that. And so my honest assumption here is that this is probably, it very well could be getting hired to start on Dreadwolf and help get that game out and then switch over to Mass Effect. Or with my speculation that the folks from Mass Effect who were helping with Dreadwolf have probably returned back to Mass Effect by now. They may just be building that Mass Effect team up, especially in anticipation of later this year beginning full production on that game, if not maybe in early 2025. So, and the last thing I'll do here is review kind of the tracking sheet I had before. I've been doing this since 2021. So at this point, it's been almost a 3-year project to keep track of. And it goes as far back as seeing basically when they listed all of the director positions for the next Mass Effect game. I noted in my recent podcast, the Mass Effect Hypecast, which you can check out on YouTube. You can also get it on all podcast providers, that it appears that they've had all of their director level positions in place for a few years now. And as far as we know, none of those people have been laid off or quit or have changed their position. So the kind of outsider was the longest ago, back in September of 2021, the lead engine programmer, which I assume is still a pretty big deal, especially as they're taking on a new engine, at least new to them in the last few games they've been making. And then from November of 21 all the way through looks like June of 22, and then June of 22, we had environment director, gameplay director, presentation director, narrative director, level design director, technical director, and the development director. Like, I have to imagine, I don't know enough about games to understand every single thing. I would imagine this is all of the leadership right under Mike Gamble for the most part. I'm sure there's more people involved there, but the assumption is that all these positions were posted and then taken down, and you assume that that means that they were hired for. We know for a fact that narrative director is Mary DeMarley, formerly of Eidos Montreal, which rip to them. It seems like that studio is going under now. Thanks, Embracer Group, you're the worst. We also saw that the development director, I can't remember their name off the top of my head, but in the 2022 in 7-day blog, that's when they announced who that was going to be. So kind of what I'm throwing out there at this point is that this is all like pretty good news, in my opinion. The fact that there's been some speculation that potentially the Mass Effect team is only a handful of people, and that not much work is getting done on that right now. It's possible that some of these people got moved over to help with Dreadwolf. I kind of doubt it, because Dreadwolf should already have people in all of these positions. And so it seems natural that, if the Mass Effect team had some more like base workers, some more of the frontline people who do, environmental design, animations, modeling, things like that, that maybe that's who went over and helped Dreadwolf before they came back. But it seems like even just from this position, I mean, we're thinking of, there's at least a dozen or 2 dozen people who were just in the core leadership group, who should have been working on this game this entire time. And as I speculated in the podcast, there's probably been some type of pre-production on this game going on for at least the last 3 or 4 years. Whatever that means. Now, the most recent position that they posted specifically for Mass Effect was the senior gameplay animator, and that got removed back in November at some point. I believe it was shortly after in 7 days. So that's the most recent hiring they've done specifically for Mass Effect, but I still think that's somewhat significant. So, what does it all mean? Who knows? I think it's just kind of fun to check in on it. I would imagine that this year we'll start to see some listings coming up again for specifically Mass Effect, especially as we get a release date, and hopefully as Dreadwolf comes out later this year. There will also probably be a weird time later this year or early 2025 when they slow down or reduce production on Dreadwolf and start to integrate that team into the Mass Effect side of things. Not everyone's going to stay. That's how this thing works. Hopefully it's not layoffs. That's everyone's hope, especially with how things have been the last couple of years. But it's not completely impossible to see a situation where some people have been at BioWare for their whole careers already, and it could be 4, 5, 6 years, and all they've done is Dreadwolf, and the prospect of moving on to another project within BioWare maybe just isn't exciting to them. Maybe there's another studio or another project they're more interested in. So expect to see those kind of moves happening. There will probably be people who will be made redundant, people whose positions are already filled on the Mass Effect team, and maybe they won't entirely be necessary. And it kind of seems like from some of the things that have been hinted and rumored and said in recent months and years, that there's a pretty good chance we may not necessarily see BioWare continue to be a studio that tries to handle 2 gigantic projects at a time. And so it wouldn't surprise me at all if after Dreadwolf comes out, if they focus completely on Mass Effect, and then once Mass Effect wraps up, maybe they go back to start working on another Dragon Age game, and they do that back and forth. We really don't know. That's all speculation from me. Regardless, I still think it's exciting that we have this senior animator job posted. The fact that BioWare is still hiring, that things are still happening there, should be exciting for everyone, because that tends to be a good sign. Nothing's ever guaranteed, but I think it should at least be somewhat hopeful that they are continuing to hire and continuing to staff up, even after the layoffs last year. And as painful as those were, losing some really legendary people to the company, you push on and you persevere, and hopefully, we have good news coming for BioWare later this year, and in the probably hopefully not too far future, but probably relatively far future, as they release Dreadwolf and then eventually Mass Effect. So that's what I have for this one. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think all of this stuff means, what you're hoping it means. Comment down below with those thoughts. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button if you liked it as well. Check out my other Mass Effect videos. Check out my podcast, the Bonfire, which is a weekly game news podcast. The Mass Effect Hypecast, which is specifically about the next game. We've got 4 or 5 episodes up now, so you can check all of those out. And consider, if you really want to support everything I'm doing, including these videos, the streams, the podcast, consider becoming a member here on YouTube. I would really appreciate it. The biggest thing is that you get early releases of videos, so I highly encourage you to check that out if you are willing. You can also find me as Bon Diesel all over the internet. Like I said, over on Twitch, you can see me streaming over there sometimes. If you want to find all the links to my other content and other ways to support, check out the Linktree link in the description below. That's all I have for this one, so until next time.